Have you ever discovered a truth so powerful, it changed your entire life in an instant? A truth so intense that after knowing it, even your own reflection in the mirror felt like a stranger. On a cold, damp autumn night in Chicago, when Jake Kandro got the key to room 304 of a cheap motel, he had no idea that the mirror of his life was about to shatter forever. Outside, the rain poured endlessly, and inside him, a storm was rising too, dragging him deep into a bottomless abyss. "22-year-old Jake Kandro was just an ordinary student at a college in Chicago. His life revolved around social media, chasing likes and follows. After losing his dorm, he was looking for a cheap place where no one would bother him. Somewhere no one would question his existence. He believed he was invisible in real life, so he tried to prove himself by building a dazzling version of himself online. But that fake identity was eating him up inside. A deep emptiness was consuming him. Room 304, untouched for the past 12 years, seemed to welcome that emptiness with open arms. The first few nights passed normally, but then the horror began. Every day at exactly 3:04 a.m., Jake would wake up. He'd find himself out of bed and standing in front of the mirror, in a trance. It was his reflection, but somehow it felt unfamiliar. What was more terrifying, the reflection started moving on its own. A grotesque smile would crawl across Jake's face, without him even knowing. His hands would twitch for no reason. Jake, terrified, would shut his eyes. And when he opened them again, everything looked normal. But that abnormality began to leave a deep mark on his mind. Time started slipping away from him. He noticed bloodstains on his hands, but couldn't remember when or how they got there. One morning, he woke up and found a torn piece of paper in his hand. It read, "Not all reflections are yours." Right after that, Jake was accused of vandalizing the local church. He tried 100 times to explain that he had been asleep that night, but no one believed him. His identity crisis grew even worse. Was he truly losing himself? Jake's wave of abnormality reached the shadow team. Luna, who can sense people's unspoken pain through her dreams, saw herself walking down a hotel corridor, surrounded by nothing but mirrors. In every mirror, she saw herself, but the reflections weren't her own. Meanwhile, Max, a master at uncovering the secrets of ancient objects, discovered that there was no booking record for room 304, as if the room didn't even exist. And Shadow, whose job is to pull the truth from people's memories, saw a young woman staring at a mirror, silently screaming, her eyes filled with fear and agony. The trio realized this mystery was deeper than they could have ever imagined.
Jake, do you think you're alone? You're not the only one in this room. Someone else is here.
I don't know what's happening. Am I going crazy? I can't remember anything, but there's blood on my hands.
Luna was staring at the mirror. Her eyes seemed to be searching for something.
This mirror, It's not just glass, Jake. There's so much unspoken pain trapped in here.
We're hearing the echoes of 3 suicides here, Jake. In this very room, that mirror was their final refuge.
Suicide?
Eliza, I can feel her trauma. She's trapped here, inside the mirror.
Max was deep in his research.
This mirror isn't ordinary. It's made from witch glass. There's a connection to an asylum fire from 1912. It feels like the mental energy of those who ended themselves here got absorbed into this mirror.
I have never felt important in my life. On social media, everybody knows me. But in reality, I feel like emptiness. Am I really losing myself in all of this?
Is there someone in your life, someone whose memory you could never forget, someone who keeps reminding you of the fears inside you?
Jake suddenly fell silent, as if he was drowning in his past.
I had a friend. He used to tell me over and over to believe in myself, but I couldn't.
The inner struggle was growing with every passing moment. Jake was terrified to fall asleep because he knew that 3:04 a.m. meant a whole new nightmare. His own reflection seemed to pull all the darkness inside his mind to the surface. One night, Jake saw his reflection grinning grotesquely in the mirror, and that same grin spread across his own face in real life. He felt as if his body was no longer under his control. The shadow team could sense that this wasn't just some random haunting. It was a deep psychological game. The mirror wasn't just showing reflections. It was bringing to life the hatred, fear, and unfulfilled desires hidden inside people. Eliza's trauma was pulling Luna deeper and deeper into darkness. Luna saw it. Eliza hated her own reflection because she wasn't what society wanted her to be. That hatred, that's where her path to suicide began. Max discovered that the mirror wasn't just a piece of glass. It was a living entity, born from centuries of mental torment, and it targeted the weakest parts of a person's soul. Finally, that night arrived. The air in room 304 felt thick. At exactly 3:04 a.m., Jake stood in front of the mirror once again. This time, his reflection stared back at him with a mocking grin.
Have you ever done something that still haunts you to this day? Has the darkness inside you ever tried to consume you?
I hate myself! I've lost who I am!
Luna stepped forward. Her eyes were steady. She used Moonbind to feel Eliza's guilt over her first hunt.
You don't hate yourself, Jake. You're just scared. Scared that everyone will forget you. Scared that no one will ever see who you really are.
By then, Max had already prepared the rune amplifier he had created, the one that would trap the power of the mirror. Shadow stepped up and placed a hand on Jake's shoulder.
This mirror has fed on your inner fears and what you think you lack. But this isn't your greatest enemy, Jake. Your greatest enemy is the fear of not knowing yourself.
Luna looked at the mirror and cried out loudly.
I break your bonds. Eliza is free. Jake is free too.
A blinding light flashed. Max's amplifier began to absorb all the negative energy from the mirror. The mirror started to tremble, and the spirits inside let out one last haunting cry. Then, everything went still. The mirror was lifeless. The lights dimmed. Jake stared at the mirror. This time, it reflected his own image. Calm, natural.
People can forget everything, but never their darkness. But no matter how terrifying your past is, it can become your light. Don't lose yourself in mirrors made by others. Your true reflection isn't what you see, it's what you believe.
Tears welled up in Jake's eyes. For the first time he had found himself. He would no longer sacrifice his existence for likes or follows. The horror of room 304 had forced him to face his inner self. Jake had learned that his worth wasn't in his virtual presence. It was in his reality, his honesty. That night, Jake Kendrew didn't just escape a terrifying chapter. He discovered his true self.